Good morning.
Good morning.
It's March 23rd, 2021. I'm Joe Weston, and we're here for our weekly online global practice for reviving the global heart. And it always revives my heart, or just awakens my heart when I see in these little squares when I see the lovely faces of people who show up. It really does, and that's sincere as much as you want to. And that's my truth, and it is great to see. Not only is it great for me to see you and to connect with you and feel your hearts, but to it just gives me hope that people are committed to a regular practice, and engaging with a community, an international community dedicated to holding the highest values that human beings can possibly manifest, and not only just talking about them and but taking lofty concepts and lofty ideas and actually finding ways to manifest that in our day-to-day lives, and how we engage with ourselves and how we engage with others and how we engage with our surroundings and the planet itself. And that the practice is taking what we do here and trying in every moment to remember to be that present and aware and in that much balance and flow, that with every word, with every thought, with every action, that you're resonating from your highest values, from your heart, and that you are moving through the world feeling confident that regardless of the uncertainty and the anxiety and the challenges, that there's a renewed sense of confidence that you have the resilience to meet the challenges. And resilience in this context doesn't mean enduring or suffering. It actually means have a vitality, a physical vitality, an emotional stability, a mental clarity, and a spiritual grounding to be able to move through the world and meet the challenges with again, presence, awareness, balance, and flow. And the commitment to really see that, at least what I believe, that what are our solutions to move us out of the gridlock we're in with the polarization and the struggles we're having, the inequities we're having. And there are many solutions and many short-term solutions, but we're working on here is the answer resides in our hearts. And what can we do to be part of the solution, which means what can we do to engage with more people than we normally get to engage with, to not just with our loved ones and those we know, but to engage with strangers and maybe even people we perceive as adversaries, to find new alliances. And that in itself is a commitment, is a mission towards creating a world that we all envision of lasting peace. So it's great to see you all. The long way of saying, wow, it's really great to see you all. And see familiar faces, new faces, faces I haven't seen for a while. And today we're going to continue our talk on the 8 ailments and the 8 remedies of the global heart. And Todd, if you can put up on this in the chat, we started the process a while ago, that in with this concept that I have of that we're in a world where technologically we may be advanced, where we're finding ways to navigate, that we have found ways to create a global system, global economy, a global infrastructure, technology, science, all of those things that have benefited many of us on this planet. And that's where our time and investment has gone. But unfortunately, I believe at the expense of our spiritual nourishment, in a sense, and valuing human beings as opposed to valuing corporations or valuing large profits, a war machine, or all of that. And without getting political or anything like that, just seeing that's where our heart is ailing, the global heart, the human family is in. We may be technologically advanced. We come from a very intellectual, data-driven space to try to solve our problems. And for some reason, we are not nourishing ourselves spiritually. And that's the heart work. The head work we got, the heart work we're cultivating. And what I posit is that there are 8 symptoms or ailments to this system, this world system that is spiritually malnourished in a sense, and that we each on some level are affected by that we can see it on a global level, but each one of us. And that is, we get caught up in what I call the inner storm, where we're caught up in our own internal confusion and not being able to find our way, lack of clarity, lack of attention, easily distracted, paralysis, where we get stuck in the sense of I couldn't possibly make a difference, I wouldn't know where to start, fear in terms of just how that manifests of the mental constructs of ways that we get caught up in a fear place, in a victim place, separation, where we see ourselves separate from others and not connected, that see that we are all interconnected and interdependent. Isolation, where we get caught up in our own, we're not engaging with people enough anymore. And certainly with this pandemic, that's certainly something that we have seen, that it's harder for us to meet. And a lot of the world system is set up to keep us in these spirals of inner storm, paralysis, fear, separation, and isolation. Today, we're going to talk about arrogance. And I'm smiling because what I want to remind us of is that if you remember, I said that the remedies to the ailments are like taking medicine in a sense, and they can have a bitter taste, those medicines. You may not like the medicine, but, and that the purpose of this process that we're in is to, when you take the medicine, it should be a very uncomfortable process. It should challenge some of your own belief systems and your own patterns. So if you might see that some of these ailments and remedies, it didn't trigger a lot. That could be because maybe you don't have the problems as much with that ailment, or that you haven't taken the medicine long enough to really feel its full effects. Or there could be other options. But I'm bringing that up because as we're getting into the last three, they could be quite triggering. And that's the purpose, is to meet you where you're at and see where you have resistance in this and to stay in it. And by trusting that if you keep repeating the remedy, which is always a statement, like an affirmation, and you start embodying that statement, then you will begin to feel the transformational shift within yourself. So I bring that up because today we're talking about arrogance and how we all suffer from the ailment of arrogance. And there's a lot to say about that. And a lot of that has to do with how is that playing out in our world system in terms of how is that contributing to our the gridlock or the stagnation of our polarization. For many of you who know, with the work of respectful confrontation and now bringing that more fully into with the work of fierce civility, one of the fundamental principles that I work with is taking the time to explore the concept, my truth does not equal the truth. And I'll give you the remedy now, and then we'll backtrack and I'll explain how the remedy works. So the ailment is arrogance or self-importance. It's seeing that you're more important than perhaps anybody else, or your ideas are better or smarter than other people's ideas. But it starts with this fundamental idea that we have this assumption that the way we see reality is exactly the way reality is. And that the remedy is, the statement is, I recognize in each moment that my truth does not equal the truth. I'd rather be effective than be right. And in terms of, that's the healing in this. And hopefully what that does is it helps you to start looking at where are you not in alignment of that? Where do you believe that how you perceive things to be true is the way it is? Why is this important? Because this has become a big question in terms of certainly the last 5 years in the United States specifically, about what is a fact? What is a perspective? What is a viewpoint? And what is a fact? And that there are people, we came up with the bizarre concept of alternative facts. And so for ourselves, we have to investigate, what is a fact for yourself? I'm inviting this for you to do, and we can discuss this if you want, but to realize that your take on the fact is not the fact. It's your take on the fact. And that if you're going to share a story, if there's an incident that happens between you and another person, you can only hope that you're going to document and convey partially what happened. There's no way, unless you're a bodhisattva, unless you're an advanced being, that you can have the capacity to experience and know every aspect of what happens in any given moment. So the practice here is to say, I can do my best to be discerning. I can do my best to have good observational skills. I can do my best to assess and I trust that there's only so much that I know in any given moment, meaning I can't know everything. Why is that important? Because if you're in a situation with someone who has a different viewpoint or sees the world in a different way, or any particular issue, politically, socially, religiously, racially, all of the issues, to be able to say that even though you may have studied the facts, that there are always more facts that you may not know, that the facts you bring are not all the facts. There may be a lot of facts, and that someone else may have different facts. Doesn't mean that their facts are wrong, they're just different. So that actually, instead of it being oppositional, can be a very creative process. Let's combine our facts and get more information here. But even if you both agree on the same fact, how you interpret that fact can be very different as well. If a number of people observe on the street a car accident, it's clear what happened. There is factually a situation where car green hit car blue. Luckily, no one was hurt. And there were about 45 people on the street. And the investigators went and spoke with all 45 people. And guess what? They most likely got 45 different stories. Why? Because we're human. And because we can only see the story from our perspective, where we were standing, our own trauma history around car crashes or whatever, our own relationship with bias in terms of what was the race of the person in each car, was it male or female? All of those things play a part in how we tell the story. Our facts may be correct, but how we tell the story is individual and subjective. So I'm bringing this up as a way of just beginning to think about, in some way, how this plays into our arrogance. And I want to just challenge a couple of things for you to consider. Todd, do you want to show the slides? The arrogance of who we think we are. Before you do it, I just want to say, so many people have said, Joe, in this practice, you always talk about human beings. You say, let's bring human beings, but what about the planet? And what about the fishes? And what about the dogs? And what about the insects? Why don't we bring them into our hearts? And in my spiritual practice, we engage with all sentient beings, with all beings. That is true, and the planet itself, and honoring of the planet. The reason why I focus on the human beings is because it ain't the fishes that are causing the problems on the planet at the moment. It ain't the trees that are causing the problems on the planet. It's the human beings. That's my viewpoint. That's my truth. It's not the truth, although I think it is, but it's not the truth. It's my truth. That's just between you and me. So the work that I believe needs to be done to revive the global heart and the planet itself, where just like a doctor would do, if they want to take care of a body that's sick, they're going to look to see where the ailment is. Then they're going to treat the ailment. And right now, I think the big ailment on this planet are human beings. So that's why I focus on the human family, the human global heart, and what can we do to restore and revive that? Because what I want to show is the level of arrogance we have, that we think that all of the planet is at our disposal and that we are the kings or queens or monarchs of this planet. Todd, would you mind showing the, so I just want to show just a little perspective here. There's a chart here, and it shows you the number of animals on the earth. We didn't get to insects because honestly, if we did insects, then all of this whole chart, you wouldn't see anybody on it. It would be invisible because that's how many more insects there are. This is just creatures that aren't insects or microbes. If you look at this, I'll go with it. Fish make up almost 94% of the entire population. Amphibians, 2.5%, reptiles, 2.5%, birds, 80%, other mammals, 0.35%, birds, 0.80%, humans, 0.02%. So of the population of animals on the earth that aren't tiny beings, human beings make up 0.02%. Now, if you look at this chart, just want to let you know, the fish are purple, the amphibians are green, the reptiles are blue, the birds are gray, the mammals are red. You can't even see the sliver for the humans. It's so small. So to me, that indicates a certain level of arrogance, how we don't realize our perspective and space, and yet see how, and our self-importance, and see how much this planet is suffering from the human species, in a sense. You want to do the next slide? And this gives you an idea in terms of when you bring in insects. I never heard the word quintillion before. So that's, I don't know, I never counted that high before. I don't think I would have the patience to count that high. But if you look at humans, 8 billion, and you see how many more insects there are, that's a lot. That's on this planet. So to just put into perspective how human beings fit in. Thank you, Todd. And I'm sorry, I just want to go a little bit more just to say, how does our level of arrogance and a sense that we believe we know everything, if you think about your history, many of us feel proud that or that the way we studied history, we know history, we think we really know what happened. But we don't take the time to investigate how subjective that is and how limited that is. Because if you think about it, there's three things in terms of history. The historian who tells a story their perspective is limited. They can only tell so much of the story. They can't give all the details. So in any given historical fact you have, it's already limited to what that historian told you. Not only that, but that historian is going to tell the story in the perspective of their own gender, their own race, their own level of privilege, their own biases, their own tastes. So we're getting all of our history told by historians is already limited and subjective. Plus, most of our history is written by the winners, the victors, and the oppressors. So in all of our history, we're only getting the perspective from the winners. So we're missing out an enormous amount of information. Again, I'm just bringing it up to as the remedy to shake us up in terms of how we stand so strongly in what we believe our facts and our history to be, that it's absolutely true. Same thing with how we gather information in social media. It's all subjective. Any news outlet is telling you their telling of the story. And of course, they want to sensationalize it because they want good ratings. So you're getting an out of proportion story, usually with a lot more conflict than it actually has. And if you look at search engines, that's my last one, and then we'll do our practice. If you're looking for information on the internet, if you'll type in a word like the price of tulips or for whatever, random, and you're going to see in your search engine the first few things. And usually, at least for me, I'm lazy. I usually will only read the first page. I rarely go to the second page or the third page or the fourth page or the 166,000 page. So I'm getting my information based on on search engine optimization of the people who are being paid a lot of money to make sure you get a certain perspective on facts. So next time you look for something, go to the 166,000th page and see what's there. Who knows? So I know I just threw a lot at you, but that's part of the remedy, is to just have this idea of how can we shift our perspective of thinking that what we believe to be true is true, and to see that it's true to a point, and that there's always more to learn. And that the solution to bridging the polarization and to finding solutions to our current problems is to start with this idea of there's only so much I can know. If I engage with someone with different viewpoints, I don't have to believe what they say, but I can be open to listening, and I might learn something new. There's a little bit of information I learn that's new. And if they learn a little bit of my information, we've just created transformation, and we've just found a way to connect. And from there, anything is possible. So that's my little talk on the ailment of arrogance and the remedy being, I recognize in each moment that my truth does not equal the truth. I'd rather be effective than be right. So let's do our practice. I'd be curious to hear afterwards if your thoughts on this and how your practice goes. So keep that in mind. If you whatever you're feeling in your body now, based on the things I said, if that triggered you in any ways, great. There's alchemy happening. There's just see how that goes. So sitting in a way where your body is relaxed, of course, your spine is straight, without being rigid, elongating from the back of your neck, relaxing your jaw, relax your belly. Bringing your attention to your center, place in your lower belly. The width of 3 fingers below your navel, a third of the way into the body. Place of personal power, impulse, awareness. And as you continue to do this practice on a regular basis, as many of you are doing, is to begin to understand the wisdom that resides in your core, which is different from the wisdom in your heart and the intelligence in your brain. From your center, become aware of your contact points, the parts of your body that are connecting with what you're sitting on the floor. Creating the habit of helping your nervous system to tap into the sensations of what it is to be held from these points. Allowing you to drop in. From your center, become aware of your physical body. And what if you approach this practice this time with this idea that my truth doesn't equal the truth? That already oftentimes when I say connect with your physical body, you already have created mental constructs of what physical body is and how you think it is. What if you actually experience this practice as you connect with your physical body of like, I don't even know what that is. Let me investigate it for the first time. What does physical body mean? How do I know what's going on in my physical body? How can I expand my sense of awareness and understanding? Questioning all of your own beliefs, truths for this moment. With curiosity and joy, not with judgment or deficiency. Simply being curious. From your center, become aware of your emotional body. From your center, become aware of your mental body, your thoughts. What thoughts come up? How many of your thoughts are judgments? How many of your thoughts are assessments? How many of your thoughts are positive? How many of your thoughts are negative? Harmful? Beneficial? How do you know what you're thinking to be, that it's true? from your center and from your heart, in the middle of your chest, where your heart power resides, connecting with the part of you that has connection with something larger than yourself. From both your core and your heart, opening to, in this moment, what you feel your connection might be to something larger than yourself. Questioning what that means. What does that mean for you? Investigating. With more of an awareness of yourself in this present moment, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. With this idea of every moment just investigating what I believe to be true about who I am right now. How might that be limited? Perhaps I'm more expanded than I think I am, more powerful, wiser, more resilient. Why do I believe what I believe today? From your center and from your heart, becoming aware of your surroundings. And again, with this new awareness of investigation of why do I assume that I know what's there? What parts of my surroundings have I forgotten about that I don't take in anymore? Placing yourself in a context. And with more of an awareness of yourself and your surroundings, from your center and from your heart, take a full breath in. And from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of those in this meditation circle, various parts of the world, connecting through the World Wide Web. From your center and from your heart, with honor and respect, connecting with the center and the heart of each one of us. And as if you're looking into each other's eyes and you're communicating from your heart to each person in this group, an understanding, a recognition of the statement, I recognize in each moment that my truth does not equal the truth. I'd rather be effective than be right. Feeling that connection, that camaraderie, as you take a full deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. And from your center and from your heart, bringing yourself, your surroundings, and those in this meditation circle with you. Now becoming aware of all human beings, that small, small sliver of population on this great planet. On some level seems daunting if it's 8 billion, but from the other perspective, from the quintillions and of insects, actually a very small faction. Bringing all human beings into your awareness now, beginning with those that you would consider loved ones. Who arises in your heart? Do you see faces, groups of people? Standing face to face with them. For whatever it means for you, just declaring from your heart to those who you would call loved ones, I recognize in each moment that my truth does not equal the truth. I'd rather be effective than be right. Looking at your own assumptions and of who they are. packs. See their acknowledgement of your statement. And now with strangers, from your center and from your heart, engaging with as many strangers or just a few strangers that pop up in your heart, particular faces, groups of people. And from your heart, from your core, communicating to them, I recognize in each moment that my truth does not equal that truth. I'd rather be effective than be right. What might their reaction be? Noticing what that brings up in you physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. And from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of those human beings that you would label adversary. Who arises in your heart? Standing face to face. And from your heart, communicating to them, I recognize in each moment that my truth does not equal the truth. I'd rather be effective than be right. Notice what their response might be. What's happening with you as you declare that. And with more of an awareness of yourself, your surroundings, those in this meditation circle, and all human beings, loved ones, strangers, and adversaries. From your center and from your heart, take a full breath in through your nose, and out through your mouth. And just imagine all human beings coming to the realization as well, what this planet would look like with a deeper awareness, that we each come with a shift in our arrogance or a shift in our rigidity around perceiving that our truth is the truth. What might be possible. Take that deep into your heart, bringing those in this human family, of the human family, into your heart as you bring your awareness back to those in this meditation circle, sharing your experience with those in this meditation circle from your core and from your heart. And from your, and bringing those in this meditation circle into your heart as you bring your awareness back to your surroundings. Bringing your surroundings into your heart as you bring this awareness back to yourself. And that moment of just imagining or dreaming what the world would be like if all human beings were to consider this remedy. Imagining walking through the world with that awareness, that dream. And maybe for you, as you continue to do this remedy, to just say, what would it be like to walk through the world that I was aware of every thought, every word, and every action that was in alignment with the concept. I recognize in each moment that my truth does not equal the truth. I'd rather be effective than be right. Taking the benefits of this practice into all of your cells, nourishing you, into your organs. Letting it fill the battery of your core. Take one final breath to close this practice. When you're ready, slowly open your eyes, looking around the space, stretching your body, shaking your body a little bit. So we started with our motivation, we did our practice, and then we have time to reflect. Is there anyone who wants to share? Charles, it's good to see you. I don't think I've ever seen you on camera before. It's nice to see you. I love your surroundings. It's good. It's productive. Anyone want to share?
I had a question.
Sure.
In our affirmation, at the end it says, "I'd rather be effective than right." And I'm wondering if you could speak for a couple minutes on what it means to be effective. I've heard this before where it says, "I'd rather be happy than right." Or sometimes people say, "I'd rather be kind than right." And so I'm just curious to hear more about how you think of effective.
Well, I think this probably comes from more from this idea that it's coming from this idea of people who are interested in seeing cultural transformation happen on the planet, or resolve differences, to resolve separation, to go from breaking to bridging, to
Okay.
new alliances in surprising places. So I think it's speaking more to that. If you want to be part of a movement on the planet that brings about more peace and inclusivity and all of that, what's your approach to that?
Mm-hmm.
And so I find a lot of the approaches are about, listen, I know I'm right, I've got facts to prove it, and if you have a different viewpoint, you must be wrong, and therefore you must change. It's a very clean and clear strategy. However, I've never seen it work, period. So therefore it's not effective. So and a lot of the work with fierce ability is that what fierce ability is approaching is not necessarily what you're saying. What you're saying could be correct. It could be important. It could be what this planet needs, but it's how are you approaching it? And if maybe you shifted the way you were approaching it, you might have more success in actually getting to what you want to get to. That's why. Thank you for the question.
I appreciated the invitation to consider that I don't know what my physical body is, or to not know the truth of my physical body. And I found myself relating to my physical body in a new way, where I was like playfully experiencing the inside of my knee and the back of my neck. And I was like kind of navigating through my body in a way that I've never done in this meditation before. And what it's making me present to is how often we are assuming that our truth is the truth and that we know, like we're kind of just moving through life with that because it makes life simpler. And that when we do make that shift into unknowing, and we have more inquiry, we step into inquiry, and being in inquiry is an engaged experience. And there's so much possibility in that. There's so much room for expansion when we can really lean into inquiry. And so I'm excited to see how frequently I can bring inquiry into my life. Like, how much can I interject that? And in so doing, invite more expansion.
Beautiful. Thank you, Will. And that's where transformation happens. That's where growth happens. That's where new solutions emerge. That's where healing happens. Beautiful.
I remember you talking about when your heart is open, the degree to your heart being open is how safe you feel in the world. And when you go through the ailments and the remedies, I feel like when my heart is open and I feel safe, that my access to the remedies is so much greater.
Thank you, Tia. And that's why for me, I think it begins with inner storm. You got to first focus yourself a little bit, and then working through paralysis and fear. That's what brings you back to that state of balance within your nervous system, out of that fight, flight, freeze response. That, everything is a threat response, so that you can get back to a healing process or a transformation process. Yeah. There's a lot of wisdom in that, Tia. Thank you.
And I just want to name how, I mean, this is a toughie. I mean, I don't think it's a toughie cognitively. I'm sure this whole group is like total, I mean, it's easy to get cognitively, but just putting it into practice is very slippery. And when I went inside and we did the meditation, I suddenly was like, ooh, I have someone to apologize to, because I realized there are times when I have to recognize, oh, I do want to be right, not effective. So that let me backpedal to a place of relationship again, and go in a second time. So it's very slippery. And it just makes me laugh, because I totally get it. You know what I mean? I'm like, the world would be better. Then I have to think oh, right, my life would be better. My partner would be happier. Just, to put it into play moment by moment. So it's big. It's a big one.
Beautiful. Yeah. Anyone else?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Keith here. The work I do with patients, with people suffering with addiction, is to inquire with them about their truth. And it never goes well when I think I know what they need, and I let that lead the inquiry. And so today's meditation is such a beautiful reminder that my effectiveness is when I allow them and their truth to lead the inquiry. And I just ask what's going on with them, what's going on in their body. And it often, if they're open and willing and they feel safe, takes us to a much deeper place.
Great. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
That's effectiveness. Yeah, that's effectiveness. That's compassion, right? Fierce compassion and resilience. So beautiful. This is great. Thanks for your feedback. If you have more, be in touch. I love being in dialogue around this. What I would suggest is that you take some time and enjoy spring coming, and actually connect with some of those insects and say, say, wow, see yourself as the minority, and say, wow, there's a lot of you. I should have more respect for you. And thank you for all the good work, you insects, that you're doing on this planet. We're destroying it, but you're doing everything to keep it going. Wow. And then move on to the birds and everyone else. Start with the insects, because there's quintillions of them. So we're here every week, of course, and it's great to see you all. And again, feel free to bring other people that you think might be interested. We have a weekend workshop coming up, Respectful Confrontation weekend workshop coming up, April 30th to May 2nd. If you haven't done it, you might want to consider it. It's a lot of fun, very powerful, transformative. And we have other events happening, doing a lot of fun stuff. And if you want to make a contribution from your heart for whatever you feel like the value is of this practice, it is all donations and contributions go towards the Fierce Civility Project, which is directly dealing with this kind of work. And next week, we're going to have a guest, Michelle Otero, poet laureate of Albuquerque, New Mexico. I really think it would be great if you came to that. She's remarkable, as all of our guests are. So feel free to make sure you come to that. And let's dedicate this. Let's dedicate this practice to all the human beings. May we find our way to seeing reality and truth in a way that helps us expand our capacity to see truth and how we see the world, for the purpose of being in more alignment with other beings on this planet. And and may all beings on this planet, insects, birds, fishes, mammals, reptiles, and the like, may they flourish and be well. And the planet itself, may it flourish, find its way towards balance. And may all beings on this planet have enough fresh water to drink and food to eat. And in this small fraction of the human family, may the leaders of that small fraction of beings on this planet, may they choose to govern from a place of wisdom and respect, inclusivity, as opposed to fear and greed. Okay, thank you. Be well. Keep the practice. Keep trying the remedy. See how it feels, and we can continue to discuss it. Charles, you're in Albuquerque. Cool. Wow, you should get
Yeah,
to. Nice.
yeah. I just dropped my son off at daycare, so I'm right off of Central Avenue in downtown Albuquerque.
Okay.
It's
Okay. You should meet.
what a beautiful coincidence.
Yes, it is. Michelle is an amazing person. I don't know if you have in the same circles or not.
I am friends with Hakeem Bellamy, who was I think the first Albuquerque poet laureate, and I've heard her work. So I'm very interested. I'll be here next week.
Great. See you then. See you then.
Bye bye. Nice to see everybody.
Be well, everyone.